Well, folks, how you doing? Papa Joe here. You know, I did a post last night. What am I missing? I think I named it. And as I opened that, I told y'all it was somewhat a touchy subject. And it did get some people's attention. That I guarantee you. Allergies are driving me nuts. Don't mind me. But got a lot of comments. Some very good comments. A couple of them was a little bit lengthy. They had something to say. And I can't really say that there was anything I disagreed with. There was some of it. Put my dishes away. Paper plate went in the trash. There was some of it I definitely agreed with. Some of it I kind of raised an eyebrow at. Maybe. A little bit of different thoughts. That's what I was after. I wanted to hear other people's thoughts. So, it got me thinking. Y'all gotta watch that nonsense getting me thinking. You don't never know what's gonna come out of me next. I watched a video, I don't know, a year or so back. It was very very interesting. He quoted a bunch of numbers that I'm not even going to try to quote, okay? But he was talking about what if there did become a civil war here in the States. Touchy subject, folks. Careful. And no, I'm not saying that I'm advocating for one or nothing, and neither was he. He was a thinker like me and got wondered about stuff, and he started running some numbers. Now, I have a retired police officer, law enforcement, that he had made a comment on this post from a video from last night. And he had commented that the majority of the police officers, law enforcement, would not participate in a gun grab because they're pro Second Amendment. Well, that's good to know. So let's say that 50% would not participate. Remember that. Now, my nephew, I guess he's my nephew-in-law, he's National Guard, has been for years. Him and I had conversed several years ago on this subject. I don't know how long ago. It wasn't yesterday. And I have slept since then. And he told me that this conversation had came up even while they was out on field maneuvers with other folks. And he's saying that the majority of them would not participate in a gun grab, a door-to-door search and seizure, go after the bad guy, which, as Miss Clementine said, make a law, make a criminal type deal. Yep. And that's what they would do. They'd make a bunch of us criminals. So let's say 50% of the National Guard wouldn't. Well, his statistics, I don't have anything to compare it to. His statistics was over half of the military would not participate in an invasion, is basically what it is, on their homeland, on their loved ones, their family. So technically all three are over 50%, but we'll work with 50%. So now the government decides that they're going to do this gun grab, and it creates civil unrest, and we got a so-called war going. The people are up in arms. His scenario, which I can relate to, being military myself, y'all know I'm old jarhead. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And there's a few other parts of the other branches that are like that. Your SEALs, Special Services, and all this stuff. Well, his scenario is that everybody is now working on half forces or less. The military, the police, National Guard. So they're at less than 50%. That's a big number to be down. He's saying that some of these special force people, I'm not one, I'm just a damn old grunt. But he said some of these special forces people are more than likely going to take out the communications for our government, which would take it out for you and I as well. But his point is they would now lose communications. Now, he did not say exactly how, but I imagine they already know, because there's a lot of people that are preparing for this scenario, believe it or not. I'm sure they already have key places that they would target. Now, in his scenario, they're already down half, and now you lose your communications. Now, that really puts the hurts on you. Now, we all know our military orders come from the top and go downhill. If you cannot be in your command post and give orders to your troops, that's not a good scenario. Wow. Think about that one a minute. Now, we already know where a lot of the military bases are, all kinds of stuff. He said that he really didn't think that they would attack those, but they could damn sure sabotage them in some kind of order, some kind of fashion. Huh. And now you got regular people. Well, won't even say the regular people, because the regular people are probably shitting themselves. But you have all of us ex-military. And there's plenty that would be active. They would be looking for units to join. Do you know how many people are military or ex-military or have been trained by our government? There's a heap of them. Now you add into that, even if they're not military trained, you have all your little groups of redneck hunters. Wow, that could add up to a bunch. You have all your preppers. You have a lot of people on the other side. With them at 50% capacity or less, they would have one hell of a job. I don't see them pulling it off. I don't see them bringing in the United Nations. People like hollering that stuff too. Oh, they'd bring in the white hats. Or blue hats, or whatever they were. I don't think so. They'd make too good of a target. And it's one thing to draw down on kinfolk, countrymen, that kind of thing. But when you have a foreigner invading your country, and that's what a lot of us would deem it, that would not be good. That would not be good at all. They would be the prime target. You might as well put a bullseye on them. You know? So long story short is I'm a firm believer that the powers to be, whoever would try to provoke this, they know these same numbers that old boy was given. They know what their odds would be. They know they would be at a loss. I don't see them doing it. I don't see them doing it at all. Now, one individual made a comment, and in his scenario, which makes some sense, he said he don't foresee them, and I'm ad-libbing on all these people, so don't go trying to hold me to quoting them verbatim. That ain't going to happen. This is Papa Joe. I don't do verbatim. But he said that in his scenario, all of these mass shootings and all the gun scaring and all this stuff, he said that he thinks that it's not meant for you and I. He thinks it's meant to scare the next generation or two, all of our children and grandchildren. It's to scare them of guns. And that way, years down the road, after you and I are gone, years down the road, it would make it a lot easier for them to get the guns. Because if you have people scared of guns, they're probably not going to have any, and they're probably going to snitch out their neighbor. That's what Germany did, remember? They brainwashed the children. Then they had the children snitching out their family and their neighbors. And there's a playbook. You can do a research and find it. I think it's from back in the 50s, if not 50s, maybe the 60s, where they tell how to take over a country and turn them communist or whatever. And a lot of the stuff that's been happening in the States, if you study that playbook, which I have not, I've only read what others have said about it, it shows that they're going right along with it. And one of the things is to disarm the populace, but also it's, if you tell the same lie and keep telling it enough times, it will soon become the truth. Now, you and I know it still ain't the truth, but people will believe it, just like the Democrats are following what their Democratic leaders have been telling them, and there's no discussing it with them. They have been told what they have been told, and that is a fact. There is absolutely no change in their minds. They don't want to hear it. If you read the comments on my post, you will see some of them in the past that have made comments. There's no talking to them. And the majority of us have tried to talk to some and have already know from personal experience, forget it. We call it drinking the Kool-Aid and all that stuff. They've been indoctrinated into that club. Period. Well, how many times have you heard or said that they're trying to indoctrinate our children in the schools into a bunch of this nonsense. They are. They are. And at what level are they succeeding? I can't help but think that in a lot of the schools they are succeeding. I think there are some that are teaching their children the old ways, the truth about what has happened in history, and teaching them that this stuff isn't as bad as they're being told. Talked to one individual today on the phone. He used to be a gun dealer, had a gun store, legal and all that stuff. Said a lady had came in there. Now he never did ask, and we lost our signal. So I didn't get to ask why she was in a gun store, if she was so against guns. Well, she might not have been. We didn't make it that far. But she just was against guns. And his scenario to her, he told her, you know, I used to be afraid of a chainsaw. They're loud, very dangerous, an evil-looking tool. He said, until I needed one, and then I was forced to learn how to use it. He says, now I can use one. He says, I respect it. I'm careful with it. He said, but I'm not afraid of it anymore. And that's how we have to have our children and our grandchildren. You know, they don't have to be a gun fanatic, but you need to teach them about them where they feel comfortable around them. Teach them to respect them, the proper ways of using them, so that at least they won't be one of the gullible ones. It's a thought. The last thing any of the politicians want, or whoever is in charge of all this nonsense, and yes, I do believe that there is some kind of conspiracy against us as a country to take us down. I do believe that. And whoever's in charge of it, I don't think they want a full-out war here in America. They don't want another civil war at all. I do believe they want to keep doing the race baiting and the class baiting and all that to keep us fighting amongst ourselves, which unfortunately there's enough of them that are taking that bait. I can believe real easy, if you look at the current events and what's going on, that yeah, not only are they trying to dumb down the next generation, which they're doing pretty good at, no sugar added, but yeah, they're trying to turn them against the guns, which I think they're doing, and they're doing a good job of it. I think they have a long-term plan. I think their plan has been in place for a long time. And I think we've had some here of recently that has got a little bit antsy. And they start trying to push it a little bit harder than what their plan was, which once again revealed their hand. There's an old saying in the Christian world that the devil always reveals his hand. He gets too greedy and he reveals his hand. I think that's what's happened here, is they thought they had dumbed down America enough that they started pushing a little bit harder, and they awoken the sleeping giant. So now they are attempting to rock him back to sleep. It's real obvious to me that as good a job as our president is doing, that he has definitely made some enemies. They are definitely out to get him. They admit it. They admit it. You know, it's not a hidden deal. And when they put their hatred for our president, our duly elected president at that, when they put their hatred out there on the front lines, where they're not even attempting to do anything to help our country or the American people in general, that their whole concentration is on taking this one man out, that makes me sit back and scratch my head and say, just what is it he's blocking that they don't want? Now, we all know they wanted Hillary to follow Obama. That would have been a big mistake. Luckily, we got President Trump instead. They're going to pull all kinds of shenanigans on this next election to try to keep him out or get him out. Keep your eyes open. You watch. Are y'all awake? I know some of you are. Those that made it to this point in this video, I know you're awake. But how many do you think has watched just the first 5 minutes or less and left because this ain't interesting to them? Where's his tinfoil hat at? He's one of them conspiracy theorists. Really? Back to your guns. I want you to realize that they're not only not going to try to take our guns, they're going to be using a back door, which they've already been using. They're going to try to get any and all attachments to your guns that you can. They're going to start blocking your ammunition. They already have. We no longer have a lead smelter in the United States. The government bought up the last millions of dollars worth of ammunition from the last plant before they closed them. And that was there in Missouri. So they're going to go around other ways and make all these little laws and pass. It was pollution that got the lead smelters. They put such high nonsense taxes on them that they couldn't pay them taxes and keep doing their job, keep their company going. You have so many laws that they're making on magazines and bump stocks and pistol grips and, oh, you name it. They're trying to outlaw it all. Now, what was it, the last one here, maybe a year ago if that? Might have been a touch longer, but they was trying to make it that if you buy different parts and assemble a gun in your own home, which a lot of us have been known to do, that you're now a manufacturer. And you're not allowed to manufacture guns. No, we're putting it together. It's a jigsaw puzzle. It's a game. Point is, they're not going to come right at you face to face, head on, and try to disarm you. They're not going to do it. They're not going to come at you head on and create a civil war. They're not going to do it. They might be some dumbasses, but they're not stupid. So they have a plan, and you just got to keep your eyes open and watch for their plan. That's how I see it. And I'm Papa Joe, and I approve this message. Y'all remember, God loves you. So do I. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.